Okay. All right, let's get into this interview. We're here with a special guest, Tsubasa Brennan, Hula Bowl alumni from the 2020 edition. And we're just here to talk to Tsubasa, ask him some questions about himself, about the Hula Bowl, his Hula Bowl experience. And yeah, we're going to keep it real relaxed, real informal, just have fun. Don't think too much. Yeah, we'll just go through some questions I have for you here. So how's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So you have tons of fans here in Japan, myself included. And everyone wants to know what you've been up to, man. What's Tsubasa doing these days?
These days, let's see. So after the Hula Bowl, uh, I I went back to Japan for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then finished up school, and then ending of February, I moved back to California where my parents were living,
Okay.
and um, so I was invited to the CFL Global Combine that was supposed to happen at the end of March,
Okay.
but then COVID hit, and then it got postponed. But I was still had hopes that the combine was going to eventually happen at the time, and so I continued to stay in California to just train um, in SoCal, and quarantine happened and couldn't do much. But right as of right now, quarantine is not too strict. We don't have to stay inside the house. So, if we wear our masks, we can go outside. The gym's opened up, and the facility that I used to train at back in March was started to open again. So I am currently working out at this gym called Stars SoCal during the morning times, and then in the afternoon I have a speed and agility session at a different facility called Evo Speed Training, and trying to get my speed work in there because that's like my main thing that I need to focus on. I feel like for this upcoming combine, so
Okay.
um, doing that, and then just spending some family time in the evenings,
Okay.
uh, playing some video games with my brother, whatnot. Just stuff like that. There's so not much here, but still, just trying to stay ready for the combine for when it happens.
Okay. Have you gotten any more details on when exactly the combine might happen?
Yes. So they were supposed to have just a draft in November,
Okay.
but the CFL had decided that it would be hard for the teams to evaluate players and to decide who to draft without a combine. So they officially uh, canceled the draft that was supposed to happen this year, and they announced that they are going to hold a global combine in March of 2021.
Okay.
And so the players that were invited previously won't have to do a combine in Japan again. So they are automatically invited to the global combine in
Okay.
Toronto. So for now, I guess I just have to train till the end of March. That's the goal for now.
Okay. All right, man. Good luck, bro. I think, all of us here in Japan are going to be following you, man, and wishing you all the best. Hope to see you playing on one of those CFL teams, man.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a possibility you can be in Canada, man, next year. So
Next year,
from
as early as next year.
Canada and you're in California now, you're in Hawaii for the Hula Bowl. You were at Waseda here in Japan. Before that, you were in Hawaii, man. So you have a really interesting story, interesting background. I mean, you're all over the place. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about your background, like where you grew up, where you've been.
Mhm. Um, I was born in Japan, and when I was 1 or 2 years old, I moved to Hawaii with my mom, and she pretty much raised me in Hawaii. After that, she met my stepfather, who is my dad right now, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and they both raised me in Hawaii. And after high school, I found out that I was going to attend a school in Japan. Um, it was a great it was an exciting thing for me because I didn't really know about Japan up until the day I flew into Japan, because I grew up pretty much in Hawaii. I would sometimes go to Japan for summer break, but that would be like for 2 weeks, and it doesn't happen like year round, yearly. So it was great. It was exciting. I came to Japan, and everything was so new. Like Tokyo, especially. Like I had a certain image of like what it would be like, and if you go to Shibuya or like Shinjuku, it's like the big lights, lots of people, like fast people moving around and stuff like that. So coming
Right.
from Hawaii, where everyone's pretty relaxed and um, yeah, just relaxed. So the fast-paced Tokyo life was pretty interesting for me. Um,
What
Other
was
than
the
that, go
what
ahead.
what was the deciding factor? Why did you choose to go to school out here?
Um, I feel like there were a few reasons. First off, I didn't have any D1 offers coming out of high school. That was pretty big for me. I only had a preferred walk-on spot at UH, and since I grew up in Hawaii and I lived there for 16, 17 years, I know it's kind of selfish, but I kind of grew tired of staying in Hawaii. I kind of didn't want to stay on that island. I wanted to go experience, the, the outside world other than Hawaii. So I really wanted to go to the mainland, but I didn't have any offers. I didn't want to go to a D2 or D3 school. Um, and then somehow I came across this article of the 2015 Japan national team, the one that happens every 4 years. And then that's where I found out that Japan has football. I was like, what? There's football in Japan. And then
Yeah.
I kind of looked into it, and I saw that there were colleges, Division 1 colleges, all that kind of stuff. So then I talked to my parents, and they were like, yeah, it'll be a cool experience. You'll get to learn Japanese, learn the culture more, and you'll get to play D1 football. So I contacted many schools, sent them my film, and then a bunch of schools replied back. So then I decided to go visit their schools, look at the campus, get a feel of their team. And then that all happened 2015, like September.
Okay.
And I went in. That was after I graduated. I went, and I took a tour of a lot of the top 8 Kanto teams, and then the top 8, and then like KG, Ritsu, Kansai University, and the Kansai region. So
Okay.
I got to go experience all of that, and
Literally
then
all the top teams in
all
Japan.
the top teams in Japan. Yeah, I had to go check it out, and then I like the environment of Waseda and Ritsumeikan. I liked how the coaches and the players are, grinding, and at the same time still having fun with it. So I like the overall vibes and the environment of those two teams. So I decided, I would try and apply. And I applied, and I got in, and then the rest is history. Yeah, it was it. It was the fact that Japan had football. You know, that was the biggest part because if it weren't for that article, I wouldn't have known that Japan had football.
And you happen to come across that article by chance, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Everything has a meaning, man.
yeah.
With speaking of football, when did you first start playing football?
Um, Fourth grade, I
Fourth
played
grade?
PE Pop Warner football.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you first decide that football was what you wanted to do? When did you get
Uh,
serious about football?
I would say maybe seventh grade.
Seventh grade. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
early on.
fourth grade, I played O line and I didn't like it.
Okay.
But so fifth grade, I kind of took a season off. I was like, I don't want to play O line. And then I graduated elementary, went into middle school at sixth grade. One of my friends told me that they were short of players on their team, so he wanted me to come join. So I went, and then the coaches were like, "What position do you want to play?" And I said, I'd not O line. I didn't want to play O line, so they're like, "Okay, let's try receiver, corner, stuff like that." And then I really liked that position, so I kind of played it out a season, and then I really liked it. And then seventh grade, I'm just like, oh, I like this sport. Like I love playing receiver.
Okay.
And then it just stuck. I love the sport ever since.
Did you have any guys that you tried to model your game on, or like any heroes, some football heroes that
Back
you kind of
then,
looked up to? Yeah, back then, maybe
oh,
even now.
I mean, back then, um, I was a Colts fan.
Okay.
But I liked the Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Joseph Adai era. So
Yes.
I really liked Reggie Wayne
Okay.
and how he played back then. Yeah, but
You guys probably have similar playing styles. It's crazy you said that. Like you guys, like your route running and stuff is probably it's a little Reggie Wayne-ish,
really,
I would say.
I
Yeah, that's
like that.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Reggie Wayne somebody that you tried to model your game on, or did you ever look at those NFL guys or college guys and say, hey, I want to mimic what this guy does here, or how this guy runs this route, or how this guy catches here, or was that just something completely?
Um, it's funny. So back then, or in middle school, uh, even though I was playing receiver, the guy that I tried to mimic, or that I was like that I worshipped a little, was
Yeah.
like Barry Sanders.
Okay.
I used to watch his YouTube videos and like his
Yes.
cut and like his just how strong his legs are. So
Yes.
I used to watch his videos, and I wouldn't say I would try to mimic, but like I was just so like in awe of his play style. Like I liked watching his videos, even though I was a
Yes.
receiver. So
Yes.
maybe that's about it. Like I wouldn't try to mimic because I knew I couldn't do it, but I'd watch him. I'd watch him play.
Okay. That's man, that was so many kids coming. That's me too, man. When I was coming up, I mean, like no one around me, everyone I knew that watched football, I didn't know a single Detroit Lions fan, but everyone was a Barry Sanders fan.
Yeah.
You would tune into the Lions games just to watch Barry Sanders and see what he
Yeah.
would do, right? Okay. Very. All right. Let's get into the Hula Bowl, man. Tell us a little bit about your experience last year. First, I guess going through the selection process. Like, how
Okay.
did you find out about the Hula Bowl? What was the process like? Getting involved and eventually, being selected.
It was actually first through a friend of mine. He sent me a IG story, and he was like, "Are you gonna apply?" And And at the time, I didn't know that the hula bowl existed. Even though I was from Hawaii, I should have known. I didn't know. And I looked at it. I looked at the IG post, and I was like, hula bowl. Didn't know what it was. I went on Google and I looked it up. Found that it was an all-star game that happens in Hawaii. And I was like, oh wow, and then wanted to apply. So I think I hit you up first. I might have hit you up first, asking about more details about it, and then I registered, and then I went over to I think it was Kobe, right? Kobe University.
Right, Kobe University.
And then for the tryout, I went. I was super excited, but at the same time, I was very nervous. Um, I just finished. I think it was like the week after my Koshien Bowl game, and my body was all like beaten up. Like I had some. It just wasn't in a good condition, so I was like nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can perform well enough. But I went and I just did what I had to do. And personally, I felt like it wasn't a good combine for me. Like I didn't think that I performed well enough personally, but I got chosen, so I was happy about that. After that, I was just like didn't want to look back on it. Just had to make sure that I can perform well on game day. So after that, I just started training again, and I had to get my body back right. So the selection process was fun, nervous at the same time, but it was a great experience. I got to meet a lot of different players from the Kansai region, like players that I wouldn't normally meet because I'm in the Kanto region. So hanging out with them, listening to their like stories and whatnot was pretty cool. And then after the selection process, leading up to our departure for the Hula Bowl, we had a couple meetings. We had to go through like I'd say like a little process to get ourselves ready for the Hula Bowl. Those were I'd say that in itself was a good experience too, because we got to listen to stories from Kinoshita Noriaki-san, who's the receiver legend of Japan. My God, that guy's a legend. So being able to listen to his stories and what he's been through back when he was our age, during his time when he was overseas playing professionally, just being able to listen to how, like, what kind of mindset you have to go into these types of situations and these environments. Everything was great. Like, it helped me a lot. And then the day that we went over to Hawaii,
tell us about the actual voyage, man. The voyage and the experience there.
Yeah. It was like, I can't even explain it. I can't put it into words how great it was. Like, first and foremost, I got to go back to my home. It's been a while since I was able to go back home because my parents moved to California. So that in itself was just great. I was so happy I could go back home. But besides that, actually going into the hotel rooms, checking in, we had to fill out this little questionnaire, and like that questionnaire was from like the NFL scouts. So like, it's pretty much, I'm assuming it's pretty much what everyone who's in the NFL or who wants to get into the NFL writes down and answers. So like, just that whole environment it's so new to like me, and I'm sure to the other two athletes that were with us. You don't get that kind of environment in Japan. All those big dudes, the professional scouts with their team logos on their polo shirts. Like everything was so legit. And then after the questionnaires, you know, you like go in and you measure your hand, your height, weight, wingspan, all that stuff. Like it's pretty nerve wracking. Like it's when like I don't know how to explain it. It's like you have to be there to understand that tension or like the the, the environment feel. I don't know. It's like
Right.
you don't know once you go.
Yes. It's
But
a nervous excitement, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy. And then after all of that, we check in with the staff, and they have all these like gear set up for us. Like that was the first time ever, for me at least, where they they what is it? They had like these bags, clothing, gloves, and like mouthpieces. Like they had everything. They had everything like ready, and it was for free. You didn't have to pay for any of it.
Right.
I mean,
well, it wasn't for free. Is your hard work got you there?
Yeah,
and put you in a position to receive all that stuff. But
yeah,
I know what you mean though. You didn't have to fork over any cash for it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know, some sunglasses, slippers,
Right.
like all those gears that they had ready for each athlete was just
Right.
It was amazing, you know. Um,
How,
the,
how about like the actual meetings and being with the other guys from the other universities all across the U.S. How was that experience?
um, it was definitely different. Um, there were I think it was the two coaches were Rex Ryan and Mike Smith, was it?
Right. Rex
Right.
Ryan and Mike Smith.
And then I was on the team where Mike Smith was coaching. And that was the first time ever, I think, that I was playing under a former NFL coach. And like he's the real deal. He's been there, you know, has seen it all, done it all. So like in meetings where he would talk, it's just like you want to try and absorb everything, every little word he says, you know, you just want to take it in, soak it in, and try and make it your own. And even the players, you can tell, like, even though, you have players from different schools, different states, different countries, and you put them in a room together and you have a coach that's talking to them. I would think like it'd be hard to, organize them all because it's your first time meeting each other, but when he would talk, all the players would just, you can see the whole room. They're just looking at him like wow, it's Mike Smith talking, and you just want to just listen and absorb everything you can. So that was a great experience. It was one that I probably couldn't have experienced ever. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was great. And then even meeting the other players, like you have players from D1 schools, you have some from other division schools, and just listening to their stories and like what they've been through for the past 4 years. Like you had players from LSU who just finished a championship game like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and they're here in Hawaii with you. You're in the same locker room with them, and it was just like, it's a cool experience. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's a cool experience. Like you can't get that anywhere else, So
how was the competition, in practice and in game days? How do you feel you fared amongst those guys?
In practice, I feel like I wasn't like 2 behind. Like I feel like I could keep up and hold my own during practice, but at the same time, it's an all-star game, so you have like some really good athletes there. So there were times in practice where I would get strapped up, and like I just couldn't move. And there would be times where I could, get lucky and beat them. And, that kind of boosted my confidence. And I was able to, keep going during practice. And I'd say during the game, um, there weren't many scenes where the ball was thrown. So
Right.
I can't really say much about it, but I mean, for some plays, we had pass plays when I was in, and there were times where the opponent was playing man on me, and I feel like on that play it was a slant. I beat him, and I don't know. It might just be like in games it's different. Like you have the nervousness, the little pressure that you don't want to get beat. So like all those factors can help. And it could go both ways. It could help you and it could not help you. For me, it helped me because I guess the opponent that that was manned up against might have been more nervous than I was. So I ended up beating him.
Okay.
So I mean, it was good. But I mean, yeah.
He's
So
probably thinking the same thing, man. He's like,
yeah,
I don't want to get beat by this guy, man. Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, games and practices are a little bit different. I feel like
Okay.
there's more, like pressure during games. But yeah, during practice, I think I was able to hold my own.
Okay.
But they were great. You had guys from Utah, some Oregon, those Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
Cal Berkeley was there. So there were some ballers there. I mean,
Is there anything you wish you would have done before headed over to Hawaii for the game?
before,
If you had to do it all over again, I would have made sure to do this. Do you have anything?
I would say scout the players that are going to be at the Hula Bowl. You know, your own position and the position that you're going up against. If you're a receiver or a running back, also look at the quarterbacks that are going to be there because, going in there, you're going to have limited time for practicing, and that also means you have limited reps. So you want to try and, you know, try and get to know the players you're going to play with and against with. Like look at their highlights. See what kind of play, what kind of player they are. And then what I would say, other than that, so I think that's what I would do before going into the Hula Bowl. Once you get there, um, and this was something Kino Nori-san was saying to us before we departed, was be proactive in communicating with the players, the coaches, and like now I know why he said that because like me personally when I was there, I thought I was communicating with them and like talking to them, but now that I look back on it today, I could have been more proactive, more aggressive in like how I approach the players and the coaches because like I said, it's a limited amount of time where you're practicing, which means you have limited reps. So yeah, you want to like get really close with the players, your teammates and your coaches, and that will
Okay.
help you, I feel like,
On that note, for the players that are going over this year and the
Mhm.
players who are probably going to go in the future from Japan, what are some concrete like examples of like certain things they can do to be more proactive? Certain things that they can do to kind of like put themselves out there more. Any advice for those guys?
Um, I'd say one is definitely, working up the courage to just go talk to them, not being afraid because I feel like a lot of the Japanese athletes in Japan, when they encounter, a foreigner, um, they kind of like become scared or like they kind of shut themselves out. Like they have a certain image, like they're kind of scary or unapproachable. Um, and that's something that I thought was like, it's not gonna help them because, I mean, if you think about it, you're pretty much the same age as them, even though if they don't look it, like if they're big and tall or muscular, like I can see why they would just like think that they're kind of scary and kind of hard to approach, but they're the same age as you, pretty much. You know, they're not like an NFL player yet. They're not in a so it's
Right.
they're just they're in a college student just like you. So just be like, hey, what's up? And then they'll understand and they'll find it more interesting to talk to probably a Japanese person because that's something they haven't really experienced themselves in their home college most likely. So
Right.
just working up the courage to just say hi. Like they're not gonna come approach you, that's for sure. Like you have to go talk to them. But once you do, it's it's super like easy. They're so friendly. Like if you could, talk to Kawashima, I've seen a couple of scenes where he would just say hello, what's up? And then they just welcome him in and they're here just part of
Right.
the group. So
Right.
it's just that one sentence like, hey, what's up? Like, just that. You just have to be able to say that. And you don't even need to know like English fluently because like just just gestures and just playing football together, like that's a common language right there. So I feel like just being able to say hi, you know, I think that is definitely something um, I would say to the future hula bowl players. Um, yeah, that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, there's not much to it. It's just saying hello.
Okay.
I,
And it's one. Okay, it's interesting you hit on that. It's one thing that people ask me the same or similar question, I guess, when I got
Mhm.
back. And the biggest thing I found that was really interesting was, in relation to the Japanese players, is the players there, staff there, they're not looking at the Japanese guys as, oh, he's a Japanese player. They just want to know if the guy can play or if he can't play. When this guy gets in the game, can he ball or can he not ball?
Mhm.
They're strictly judging you off of a purely football um angle. That's what I felt, at least. It's
Mhm.
not like, oh, he's Japanese, so we have to do this, we have to do that. So I would encourage the Japanese guys, or I told some Japanese guys, it's like, yo, be more confident, man. You guys are there for a reason. You guys have been selected to be there just like they've been selected to be there. So you deserve to be there. You can play. That's why you're there. So just relax and play is something that I've had to say a few times since coming back from the game last time, man. But okay. Any, I don't want to hold you up here, man. I know it's close to dinner time
Oh, it's fine.
over
It's fine.
there. But any parting words, man, that you want to say to everybody here in Japan,
Um,
or yeah.
yeah, well, first and foremost, I miss you, Japan. I miss the food, the people, my teammates, my friends. Um, Other than that, I'm just trying to work my dream, which is to play professionally in the States or Canada or wherever, Europe. So I might have fell off the grid in Japan. But, I'm still out here. I'm just working, grinding, trying to stay ready. And yeah.
Is there any way that we can keep up with you out here? Do you have like a social media page where you're putting stuff up, or are you not into that stuff? Or what can the fans here in Japan do to keep up with Tsubasa Brennan?
Shoot. I mean, I do have a IG handle. I do Twitter, but I'm not much of a poster. I don't post too often, which I should. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at being more, like Instagram proactive. But other than that, I mean, yeah, that's about it.
All right, we'll put your IG handle and your Twitter handle in the description when we post this video, so all the fans in Japan can follow you, man, and cheer you on as you continue on your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time today, man, and good luck again, bro. We're all cheering for you, and wishing you the best.
Thank you so
much. Keep grinding.
Thank you.
And I'll be checking in on you from time to time to see how things are going, man. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Have a good one. No problem, man. Have a good one, Tsubasa.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And he steps out of bounds trying to stop the clock here. Under 2 minutes, and so the clock will stop until the snap.
Going tempo. Runner's going to feel very comfortable running this.